Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. Another episode of the Modern Mission Podcast, episode 41.
That's
Yep.
what we like to see. Dirk episode.
Yeah, for real. And then speaking of which, Diego's a happy camper right now. Um, Apparently the Mavs are up by 20, right?
I don't know, it's like 15 now. I'm content though
Okay.
with this dominance.
They're not going to blow any fourth quarter leads. Meanwhile, the Bulls are absolutely terrible that I can't even get the game up on Stream East, is what I've been using. We do have League Pass, but I always default to Stream East for everything so far. I'll eventually
hmm
get NFL Game Pass at some point, but um, yeah, I guess even though they're up, they don't. Nobody wants to see the Hornets or the Bulls play right now. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool, good to know. Yeah, but I did want to get your thoughts on a couple of topics there, if I can speak. Um, One is the in-season tournament format. I recently watched Adam Silver on Pac McAfee of all things, and I did not think I would see that combo.
Yeah.
Made it for great TV for sure, but I like the concept of the in-season tournament now. Like the whole issue and the context for how the tournament was brought up is load management and a lot of players like not playing or like teams just not taking a chance on players and like the first half of games when really it doesn't matter. It's more for like the role players to get like the experience
Mm.
and like for the stars to get healthy at the right time so everybody can make the playoffs at a steady pace and you don't have to worry about like early early season injuries, excuse me. And I kind of like this format with the way they incentivized it. Um, I think you could use a lot of tinkering. The courts are definitely weird. Like
Yeah.
that took me a while to get my eyes adjusted to the court. Like very distracting to me. But I was watching like the last bit of the Lakers and the Suns, like on the highlights, and like they're competing Nick and Tuck like at the
Mm.
end, like fighting for every whistle. And granted, referees make all types of mistakes now, like especially in football and basketball. And like one call goes the wrong way, rightfully so. Um, like are the reactions to that? And I'm looking at Devin Booker like hugging the ball like on the side of his arm, just like yelling like, "How can you make such an egregious call?" Like it's just I'm like, wow, these guys really, really want it. Like, I think it was a test. Like Silver said it best on the podcast. Like, it's a test to see, like, oh, which players really want it. Like,
hmm
there's prize behind it. Like, well, who do you like? Who's the best one? Like in the season? And I think when you look at the teams, I think it was like Lakers and Pelicans and um,
Pacers.
Pacers and Bucks,
Bucks.
right? Those are
hmm
the final four teams.
Yep.
Like that's really intriguing because then you get to see, oh, like how did the up and coming teams fare against like the upper echelon of teams right away?
Yeah.
Like you just saw a great game in the Celtics and Pacers that we're going to talk about later.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's got to be exciting to see. Okay, how do these teams fare now? Like all the chips were on the line versus like in June when you had like 60 plus games to adjust. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. It's a whole new experience, and it really making games that really wouldn't have mattered at all. At least to like for entertainment purposes. And I don't know if Adam Silver said that in his interview on that show, but that's like the big thing they want. They want more eyes on these games, and like on regular season, like someone could just say, "Oh, there's 82 games. You could just watch another game later." But now that there's so much put into it, not only for the fans but also for the players, like there's a big meme going around that LeBron is going crazy because he wants that 500K. Because there's another like kind of joke that he's like a really cheap guy, even though he's like one of the greatest players in NBA history. He has all the money he wants, but he's not gonna like just spend it however. And so this 500K would be a lot to him. But just I think that was I think the best thing about it is that yeah, like load management was a thing, and it would have been hard to say like, oh yeah, just you guys are competing for this cup here, and you guys just bragging rights and whatnot. But no, adding that financial incentive definitely has some players really playing hard, and you could tell that in these games. And he's basically Final Four, like NCAA tournament type of games where it's just one chance to do it, and it's definitely interesting. I mean, not always in those tourneys does the best overall team win because you only have one game, and that's kind of what happened. The Pacers were the better team that night, 2 nights ago on Monday, and so that was a great game. And like I would not have expected to see that in what was it like December 3rd, so or December 4th. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm
Right.
liking it so far.
Right, the fourth. But I think more important, like even another reason, like as you brought that up,
Mm,
I recall something from the podcast too. Um, he had talked about how a majority of the players like have African ancestry or like their parents were in Africa. Like as far as like the reason that's important was he talked about three regions of where basketball is grown the most,
hmm.
um, or two really, and then one up and coming, like Africa and China. Like
Yeah.
basketball is huge in those two sports right now, and when you think about the game globally, it's just growing by leaps and bounds, and especially in um, India, it's growing a ton. And when like those are the three targets of the country, and if you watch like how cricket tournaments are sort of set up and like soccer tournaments are set up, especially
Hmm.
soccer. Soccer might be more applicable. Like they have a lot of like leagues that go on like different points of the season, and it won't matter like oh, it's not the Premier Championship League, like, of the leagues where, oh, you got it's basically like the World Cup or I mean,
Hmm.
or the World Series and whatnot. You have like qualifying rounds, and think of this like qualifying rounds for like the up and coming teams. How do they fare against the top competition? For the Pacers, this got to be a huge confidence boost for them,
Hmm.
right? If
Yeah.
they're already in the semis and they could take on the Celtics and the Bucks and stuff, like
Hmm.
that is like I can imagine them in like April or May, like stealing a series from one of these two teams.
Oh yeah.
That we're like on paper, we're like, okay, nobody's touching the Celtics and the Bucks. They're probably going to the Eastern Conference Finals. End of
Hmm.
story. But if you have games like this with these kind of stakes, like for the Pacers, it's like you have nothing to lose. If you win, you got a confidence boost. If you lose, okay, the Celtics have more experience. Like it was kind of expected that way.
Hmm.
And for them to pull it out, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a big deal for those types of teams, like going into and even the Pelicans now. Like if they
Yeah.
manage to pull it up against the Lakers, like they can do a ton of stuff. Because even though the Lakers didn't go as far as people wanted them to last season, they made a lot of moves that made them a championship contender and might not be reflected immediately now as the season comes up, but with all types of LeBron teams, once it hits May or June, like
Yeah.
they already know what type of team they have and they're at their peak. And for the Pelicans, even though that might not be the case now, they have a lot of young talent that's right there. Like they're kind of in the same exact spot as the Pacers. They're just like rounding in the form. And like for those two teams, I guess the point is here like you get larger amounts of confidence boosts as opposed to like the regular season if you face like the Lakers
Hmm.
versus later on, like when the stakes are high, face the Lakers. So
Yeah.
you get those high stakes earlier in the season, and I think for those young teams, it's going to be huge.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the point you made, comparing it to like European or just soccer in general. But like in Europe, they have every country has its own domestic league where all the teams in the same country play against each other. But then separately, all throughout the season, every few like 3 4 weeks, the best teams play in the Champions League, where they play like internationally against each other, and then finally, whoever wins that is the best team in Europe, supposedly, and uh, then whoever wins the domestic league is the best there. And so I kind of like it a bit more in that sense that it's all throughout the season, but I can understand, especially for the first time, just having it done right here in November in a time that really didn't have a lot of importance. But yeah, I do agree. And then just I think commentators, especially in the Indiana Boston game, were saying this is like this is playoff experience, like moments where you need to do what you have to do as a player. You just can't think, you can't worry, and you just have to play and do your best and make those opportunities happen. That's huge for a guy like Tyrese Haliburton, who that was like one of his first or second nationally televised games, and it was to be like to be eliminated there. Like it's basically a game 7 type of feel right there for a young guy who might not get to that point. in the playoffs. So definitely interesting.
No, and I think the thing is like if you think about Tatum and Brown,
Hmm.
like and it's like funny. I didn't think of them because we were talking about this topic. I was
Hmm.
thinking of like other young guys who had a ton of championship experience early.
Yeah,
Like they had maybe I think they maybe gone to 5 or 6 conference finals now,
yeah, I can check
like
that.
in their career, and they're only like 27 or 28.
Hmm.
It's that's insane. That's unheard of. And for them, I'm not surprised that they've been to the like finals or like the NBA finals in the past 2 seasons
Hmm.
because they've already had that experience, but that's just a rarity. Like you never hear of that for like other superstars now, like going to the finals that early. Like even Luca was there at one
Hmm.
point, but like I
Yeah.
think he's only been there once, and it's like for a guy like
Hmm.
Haliburton, that's going to be huge because like you mentioned with the playoff moments, like he'll know now like what's the mentality we need to have as a team. How do I, as the leader and the
Hmm.
star of this team, galvanize the troops or like handle playoff situations based on what we did in this tournament?
Yeah. And especially one big thing is in the first half, like Tyrese Haliburton really wasn't doing anything too crazy. I mean, he was there and he was making plays and whatnot, but in the second half, he went off. He made some shots that I could not believe with my own eyes. Like just the aggression he had in that game, especially in the second half. So I think, especially learning at such a young age, this is going to be so helpful for him. I think he's only in his third or fourth year, so this is huge for him, and he's already playing an All NBA level. So we'll see
I
where he
can't say
goes.
enough about him. We raved about him in the podcast
Yeah.
last week. I think he's gonna be a top 3 point guard. Like he's gonna knock somebody off. Like that would be like,
Mm.
you know what? If Haliburton wasn't there, like this would be so easy. Like
Yeah.
that's like he's making that kind of case. He's having that kind of season,
Hmm.
and even healed too. Like I just look at like these guys on the Pacers, and they're not afraid. Like
Hmm.
they're not afraid of the big moment. They're not afraid to like be aggressive, shooting the ball, like spreading the ball around. Like they do a great job on offense. The key thing with them is defensively, and
Hmm.
I think Celtics were a good match for them to see that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to see how well this team kind of adjusts in the playoffs because that's the other thing that the tournament doesn't really provide, but is like really important with experience. How do you adjust from game to game, like after a
Hmm.
loss, after a
Oh,
win?
definitely.
Like how do you expect what the opponent's gonna change up from time to time. Like you playing that cat and mouse game. That's
Hmm.
gonna be interesting to see. I don't think the Pacers have gone for that yet, but definitely a promising team.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And obviously, it's not series; it's just one game, so that doesn't give them a
Right.
lot of time. I will say again, it's similar because I think things kind of slowed down for them. At least like the Celtics were trying to slow the game down. And that's a big thing in the playoffs that we've been talking about before is that in the playoffs when things are really serious, you're not going to be able to just run up the court every single time like the Pacers like to do.
It's rare to get in transition.
So this was a good game for them just to feel what that might be like. And yeah, like in the end, they still got transition when they needed it. But one other thing to point out is Kristaps Porzingis did not play in this game. Luke Cornett had some crazy moments. Like he had 3 blocks in like maybe like a 2 minute span.
Wow.
Also, TJ McConnell was doing some TJ McConnell things. Like TJ McConnell's just great. He's like Derek White of like short point guards. Very very good player. I mean, can't play defense like Derek White, but still a good player.
He was feisty on the Sixers
Yeah,
though. He
yeah.
like his defense was low key pretty good on the Sixers, and he had that like little guy juice that
Hmm.
like you're like 5'6" or under. We root for you, buddy. Like
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, like he had that kind of
Mhm.
energy to him.
No, yeah, and he also hit like because at one point Cornell was like guarding him, which is an interesting matchup. But he had him in the like McConnell had him in the post, hit him with a few pump fakes, just pivoted around and got a like I think it was a layup or like a like in the paint mid range shot.
That's
Very
crazy.
interesting that he made. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm a TJ McConnell fan. I won't lie. So there we go.
I mean, I didn't know he tried to post up Luke Cornett. I
It
probably
was
wouldn't have done
interesting.
that. I'm probably the
I
same
would
size
not
as
have
CJ
either.
McConnell, but yeah, um, not a wise decision. But I mean, if you make it, you make it. Um,
Yeah.
are there any other things you picked up from the Celtics or Pacers that you thought were interesting?
I mean, Aaron Nesmith was playing with the vengeance. Played with the Celtics last year. I guess he couldn't make the cut for them this year, and he was big mad. He had a dunk to kind of cap off a 9-0 run
That'll do it.
in the fourth. He was so excited. I mean, happy for him that he's playing well. But like, I don't know. I don't know why he needed to have beef with the Celtics just because to me it wasn't real beef, but like he was mad. He's playing with a vengeance out there, so good for him. Aside from that, yeah, nothing much really. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Apparently Diego can't get enough of the Bucks and Knicks. He watched them for the third time in
Holy.
this series. What was
Yep.
different about this game than the
This
other
game,
two?
oh my god. Julius Randle was absolutely cooking. Like it was disgusting how Julius Randle was like there's a joke online where like sometimes Julius Randle isn't Julius Randle, he's Stefulius Crandall, and that's what I was seeing last. Like he was so like just hitting any shot, and like I was literally telling my roommate, I was like, this is Julius Randle. If this is the Julius Randle we got all the time, this guy would be an All NBA player, but he has to just be Julius this Stefulius Crandall sometimes, and sometimes he's just the worst version of himself, and there's no in between. You get one or the other, and that's just you just have to deal with it. And last night they could have done something. They were kind of in the game, I think second quarter really, but then second half the Bucks kind of really put the pedal to the metal, hitting a lot of nice threes. Malik Beasley went off with some good shots. It was tough for them in the end, but Stefulius Carrandle, man, he was cooking something. What he
Yeah,
was cooking was
I remember
nice.
just seeing this one fadeaway three from Randall, like, and he's going to his
Mhm.
right. He's much stronger in his left than his right.
Yeah,
And like when I see that, I'm just like, yeah, he has his moments. He has his really highs that are like, okay, like you see, like Randall's changed since when he played in New Orleans, and
yeah,
then you see the moments where you're just like, oh my god, he still hasn't matured. Like it's just like
yeah.
this the consistency like you expect out of a player who's been there so long,
Hmm.
like it isn't there, and it's just like it puts a lot more pressure on Jalen Brunson to be like superhuman.
Yeah,
Not that Jalen can't do it, but
he can't
he
do it
had
all
a
the
he had a
time.
shoulder injury earlier in the year. I remember, right?
I think he had something.
Or he
He
like
was
he or
playing
he
this
nicked it up.
game.
I wasn't sure if he was out for games or not, but
I'm not sure.
okay.
But another thing I saw was Giannis guarding Julius Randle. Julius Randle was moving him. Julius Randle
Oh,
was moving him around in the paint. That's very interesting. Like, it's inexplicable the way my guy Julius Randle plays. Like, I remember the year he won most improved player. That was such a good time. New York was loving him, and then they go to hating him last year when he doesn't play well. Like, I just think if he became more consistent, he could really. I don't think he could be the star. I mean, I don't know. He could be the star that New York needs if he plays to Stefuli's Corando levels all the time. But that's I guess you can't expect that from him, which is kind of sad. But yeah.
yeah, and I mean, end of last season, I probably was harder on him because I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if Julius Randle could be your best player, or your second best player. Like
Yeah.
it's really tough with the way the Knicks are constructed. Like the Knicks are so
Hmm.
close. Like they need RJ Barrett to like have this
True.
historic season, or they need to like trade for a guy like DeMar DeRozan or something like that.
Hmm.
As much as I
Yeah.
love DeMar on the Bulls, like if he was on the Knicks, I think
It'd
that would
be.
tie that team together very well because they have the 3-point shooting, they
Hmm.
have the defense. Like they just
Yeah.
need like
Defense is
a
good.
go-to scorer just to get like Jalen
Everyone
Brunson out
else.
of the way. When I'm
Yeah.
thinking of it, I'm like, okay, that might you might have to figure something out with like Brunson wanting to go to the paint a lot, and then like
Hmm.
DeRozan like to go to the mid range. Like how you make that work? May have to put them on separate wings or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's stuff like the good teams will always figure out, like how to generate offense.
Hmm.
But like my point is here, like I don't know about a duo of Brunson or Randall. It's like good with the
But
potential of very good, but it's
yeah.
not like I wouldn't put them
Ideal.
up against like Jokic and
Oh God,
Murray,
no.
like or LeBron and AD. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like the Knicks are in like this weird spot. Like because like now with as soon as Dame and Giannis like figure out their two-man game,
Hmm.
Like Knicks can't touch them.
Yeah.
Even now, like the way like the games have played, like I'm not surprised that the Bucks have pulled it away in the second half. It's
Mhm.
the Knicks have some like soul searching to do, like on offense. Like, do we need to make a move at the trade deadline, or like what's that going to look like? But I don't know. I'm not very confident in that team. Like as
Yeah.
they get deep into playoffs, that they can hang with Bucks, Celtics, 76ers.
No, definitely. And yeah, I guess one thing they interesting thing the Knicks tried was I don't know if it was at half. Yeah, I think it was like beginning of the second half. Once Randall came out, they played a Hart like Isaiah Hartenstein as their center, Barrett as their power forward. I guess Josh Hart as your three, DiVincenzo at two, and quickly at one, playing a super small lineup. And
Okay.
it was interesting. They did go on a little spurt, I think. Yeah, they went on a 7-0 run with some good swarming defense on the Bucks. But like after that, the was that there's some oh, there was a nice really anyway. It was probably a different time. But after that, the Bucks take a timeout after that 7-0 run and go on a 5-0 run themselves to kind of lock the game up. So it was definitely interesting. It was a different look that I don't think Adrian Griffin was expecting. I mean, who would have been expecting that? But
Right.
yeah, definitely they're
It's
trying stuff, which is good. But
Yeah.
it's what
I
the
mean, the
regular
Bucks
season
may
is
not be
for.
the best team to try to line up on because they
No.
just have they have size. Like
Hmm.
that's the issue. But like, if you're just trying to get like a bench spurt or like just some bench points, that's an interesting lineup. Like Barrett, like the way he plays, like as long as like he's attacking, he could play like a really fast wing player, and like I think he can get away with that at the four. For me, it's just like on the defensive end, like how
Yeah.
like swarming defense only works for so long
Hmm.
until you have like physical guys like Giannis that find a way to get in, or like great complementary spacing around it,
Hmm.
where you can beat quickness with skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard trade off. Like they're trying. That's the
Hmm.
thing. Like for a team like the Knicks, they have to get their personnel exactly right to
Yeah.
compete with the Bucks because their top end talent, I don't
It's
believe in it.
great.
Like,
It's
but
great,
like,
but yeah, it's not good enough for that.
right,
I guess one other thing I saw, and I saw it also in the uh, Pacers Celtics game with Al Horford, and in this game with Brook Lopez. Something these two guys are doing. They are centers. They are centers who really came into popularity in I wouldn't say the golden age of centers, but in an age where centers couldn't shoot anything outside of the mid range. Brook Lopez was a like post up, back to the basket type of demon. Al Horford
right.
was just that guy getting boards and doing whatnot. But one thing I saw Al Horford do, and also Brook Lopez. These guys caught the ball at the 3-point line, pump faked like they were gonna shoot it because that's kind of a threat. The guy guarding them, I think, both times like another center pulls up, pulls up on them, obviously thinking they're gonna shoot, and they blow by both times they blow by their defender and then
That's
drive to
crazy.
the rim and lay it up like they're centers. These guys are old and they're just rumbling to the rim. Like that to me was just I don't know. It made me feel weird. Made me feel like there's no like real centers in the league anymore. Like these guys were the centers of their time.
Right.
And it's really weird. I'm
Hey, I mean, don't sleep on Horford now. Like he can move.
he
He's
can
got
move,
some
but
nice
he's like
moves on him.
70 million years. Like I look at him move and I just feel my knees hurt for his knees because I feel
Right.
I don't know how he does it, but it was interesting to see. Like I, that's a move that's so common now, where like the guy will fake and then you could kind of see him kind of move into his like next step
Oh no,
to get
I
around
hate
him.
that so much when they do like the exaggerated rip, like
Yeah,
from one side of the waist to the other. I'm like, okay, how do you not see that? You just wash your
yeah,
hips, man. Like it's like it's like you can't fall for that. Like and
no,
I find it now like I I don't know if it's like NBA defenses are getting worse as far as like technique, but
hmm,
like a lot of guys lead their feet like when they
yeah,
shouldn't. And it's like I get it. It's really hard because like guys will make all moves look the same. So it's
hmm,
like really hard to coach. Like, don't leave your feet, stay
yeah.
square, like wash your hips, don't get fooled by a cross. Like, but yeah. I
It's
mean,
just tough. I
it,
think
if as long as you're punishing people with those pump fakes, man, use them. I don't
yeah,
care if you're a center or not. Like this league is athletic enough where anybody can drive to the rim.
yeah. It's just I guess just offense is more skilled than ever, which I mean is
Yeah.
true, but. I
Keep
just
your
want
eyes out for Hardenstein. He's gonna pull a pump fake out.
if he
Get
does
some
that,
bench. Yeah.
that would be absolutely heinous. I don't know if I could watch that.
Yeah.
Isaiah
I'm just waiting
Hartenstein
for
can't
Bruce to
shoot.
do that.
Yeah. Vooch can shoot threes though, so but
He's a nice shooter.
he's
Yeah.
slow as a rock. Like he cannot move. I think that's his problem.
That's my issue with him, man. I'm like, yeah. I mean, Jokic is fine because Jokic is savvy, but like
Yeah.
Vuce Vucevic is like, I don't like. He just has moments where he's like, if his mid range and his shooting hits, like you can
Hmm.
live with that. But
Yeah.
like then when it's like not, then it's like you have the defensive problems on top of that, and
Hmm.
then like everybody's hunting him out, and it's difficult.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an interesting thing I saw. That really caught my eye. Had me feeling something watching these games.
Yeah. How are the Mavs doing right now?
Currently on game break, but I think I might have said it wrong last time that we were up by 15. I think we were up by 25, and now we're up by a lot. Wait, it's back right now. We're doing very well. Wait for it, please, please. I know Jason Terry's awesome, but like I just want to see what the score is. I'm so lazy I could just look it up on my laptop. Let's see if that'll be quicker. Mavericks Jazz. We're up by 34.
Wow.
I love it here.
Never in doubt.
Never
Never
in
in
doubt.
doubt. And
We would
when
like to
Bulls
see.
are up by 17, rarity. Like
Really,
that
that's
that almost never happens.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I see looks like
Oh,
Timberwolves are about to pull it out too, so that's pretty
oh,
exciting.
really?
But
Who are they
um,
playing?
they're playing the Spurs and Wemby.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. But it's a close game. That's very
Yeah,
interesting. That's
close
weird though.
game. Eight. Well, I'd say 8 points. At that point, like
Yeah.
with 25 seconds left, it's hard to make a
Okay,
bet
no.
difference. But
Yeah, but it's like I don't know.
Bulls
You,
got it.
I feel like the Timberwolves would have made it an easier game. I mean, they have the size to interrupt Wemby, so I don't know. We'll see. I might have to
Yeah,
watch that
I could
video.
check the box score real quick. See, I mean, that's not best practice. Wemby. Oh man. Okay. He did not have a good shooting night. Um, he had 4 made field goals on 13 attempts. Missed his
Rough.
threes. 66% from free throws, but he had 6
Oh,
attempts. So yeah,
I
that's just
guess. Yeah.
self-explainable. But
Yeah. It's tough.
not a good night. I think they keyed in on him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a tough matchup for him though. Like when you're talking
I
about
mean, yeah.
Gobert and Towns, like not gonna
I don't.
pretend like Towns is like elite
Yeah.
at defense, but like Gobert is like a really good
No,
shot
go
blocker.
Bear.
So like he's one of those rare guys when he can actually reach like Wemby's like
Hmm.
shooting height. Speaking
No,
of which,
yeah.
I saw weird stats on shooting height. Did you know that at his apex, like Kevin Durant has the second highest release point in the NBA?
I don't know if I knew he was second, but I knew it was already really high. I mean, he is a seven
Yeah.
footer, and like he gets it like over his head, which
Yeah.
is something like not necessarily like if you're like someone our height or like shorter than like 6'6" and whatnot, you
Right.
shouldn't shoot like that because that kind of makes like a once you get it over your head, it's like a two motion shot, so it's like back and then
Right.
forward.
Two
But
motion shots, like I mean, you can make it with them, but it's like it's a lot harder on the body and like less inconsistent because you
mhm,
don't get that muscle memory. Like you have to be like Kobe and hit like 1,000 shots in the gym, like to
yeah,
feel comfortable doing that.
there's a trade off with it.
Right.
Because like whenever you get it over your head, whenever you bring it back, there's less arc, right? And
Right.
so when you're trying to make it in the basket obviously doesn't move. But if you get more arc, you get more margin of error because you have more
Right.
space that the ball can go
Right.
in. But once you get less arc, you have to get exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So maybe there's less power you need, you get less tired, but you're gonna have a lot more need a lot more precision. So that's kind of the difference. And once you're taller, it doesn't really matter because you don't need to get it as far because you're obviously taller. So that's why like guys like
Right.
Kobe, LeBron does it, KD. So it's something to look at. But like guys like Steph Curry, Trey Young, those are all one motion shots because it's
Right.
first off way quicker, but also gives you more power. So
Right. No, thanks for the difference on that. I think that's
yeah.
huge. Like I used to shoot in line drives like
Hmm.
when I was learning shooting. Like
Yeah.
and until I understood like, oh, like try and get your elbow by your eye,
Yeah.
like which helped my arc a ton. Like that really helped. But no, I mean, I mean for KD, he can almost like do whatever. Like
Yeah.
because for him it changes sometimes. Like because when I watch him on the baseline, like he doesn't shoot that way. I think it's
Yeah.
only like when he's around like the threes and the wings, like and he's
Mhm.
kind of taking that like side jab and then the shoot, like that basically he does it a lot off the catch. But
Mhm.
like when he's shooting on the baseline, like I don't know, it's because he turns his body or whatnot. Like he shoots one motion. Like I
Yeah. Well,
he's just like
if he's
he's
like
unique.
fading, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it, like, he's fading a lot when he does that too. Yep,
Mhm. Yeah, so, like, when you fade, I think that might make it more one motion. I'm not sure. It's a tough
yeah,
shot, but he is a tough shot maker, and being as tall as he is, it's just impossible to guard. Who is first?
right.
Wemby? I'm guessing Wemby.
No idea. I
Interesting.
heard it on Thinking Basketball, and I saw the graphic,
Oh, really?
and I
Was
saw
that the
Kevin Durant says second highest.
latest episode? I'm,
Yeah,
like,
yep,
so curious now, and I wanna know, and I'll
yep.
look it up after this.
There it was about, like, how Booker and Durant were, like, work so well together, and, like,
Mm,
um Booker's really good, like, off the catch, and, like, how, like, Kevin Durant would, like, set it up where granted, the Suns are running, like, 3 motion, like,
yeah.
offense, so, like, 3-man motion, so that helps,
Mhm.
but, like, every time, like, Durant would cut, like, they would get a double because nobody wants Durant to score, like, one-on-one,
Yeah, and
right?
that just
And Booker would
leaves.
take advantage where, like, off
Yeah.
the catch, he won't spot and catch and shoot. He'll drive, but every
Mhm.
time he drives, he's so good at attacking that he gets, like, right into the paint and, like, clear blow-bys. Whereas, like, Durant, he would, like, spot up, but because of his, like, shooting height being so high,
Mhm.
which is why I
Yeah.
brought it up, um, like nobody can contest it, and it's like he does it quick enough, even for a two motion shot, where like you have no chance.
No,
So
yeah.
like even the slightest like if Durant's defender like slightly goes to help out like Booker, that's when Durant would get those like shots. So it was an interesting video. I enjoyed it, and like that's the kind of detail and nuance like you don't hear from like reading the box score like putting
Yeah.
statistics on. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's the fun part of, watching games, but also thank you for bringing up Devin Booker. Shout out Devin Booker. He had more turnovers than shots made yesterday. Anyway,
Lucas
I won't.
special, am I right?
Yep. I'll never say that Devin Booker's a bad player. I
Yeah.
just don't like him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think Durant was the best thing for him, but, like,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just, like I feel like he gets, like, too cocky where it's like, "Slow
Yeah.
down, my guy. You still
He's
have to
just
beat Giannis."
he's just not good in elimination games.
Yeah,
That's something I've seen. But yeah.
right. Okay. Tangent over. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you,
As you
thank
can tell,
you.
we could talk basketball for, like, hours if we wanted to,
Mhm.
but, and
Not too
Diego's gonna
long.
yeah, follow us at I'm on a mission, but let Diego, like, soak in that win. Let me soak
Yep.
up some happiness for the one game the Bulls are doing well.
For real.
I have no idea what's gonna happen to Levine, but fingers crossed on that. Um, like Diego mentioned, follow us, and if you have any questions on the video, type it in the comments below. Like, turn on your notifications so don't miss a video, and we'll get the stories at some point.
It's gonna happen. New Year's
That's an endless
resolution.
promise. Yeah, I might as well do it as a New Year's resolution at some point because clearly I'm not going to get it done in the next 25 days. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this one. We'll have a lot more fun topics for you next week.
Yes, sir.
And with that, stay cozy and take it easy.
See you guys.